What if you could build a business that gives you the life of freedom you deserve? What if you could find the secrets to marketing, leadership, customer service, and other aspects of business that help you exceed your goals? What if you could walk away from your business for 30 days and it never misses a beat? That's what this podcast is for, to help business leaders like you find freedom from the day-to-day grind and start spending your time doing the things you love. I'm Levi McClendon, and my co-host is Josh Taylor, and this is the Cheers to Freedom podcast. Hey, welcome to the Cheers to Freedom podcast. I am Levi McClendon, and I am joined by my co-host, Josh Taylor. Josh, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Levi. Excellent introduction, by the way. Thanks so much for doing that.
I'm learning from the best, so I feel like if you ever left me, I need to be good at this too. So
I'm never leaving you, Levi. You're stuck with me.
Oh, all right. Well, then you can continue to introduce us as the Cheers to Freedom duo.
Great. Hey, we are still going through the 10 car wash marketing rules, adapted from Dan Kennedy's book, Magnetic Marketing, and the 10 rules that he defines there. And we've got 2 more left. We are on rule number 9, and this is one that is, I think, really, really important. We've hit on it a little bit earlier in one of the rules about tracking and measurement and accountability. But car wash rule number 9 is results rule, period. And I think that you and I would agree one of the issues that we often run into with customers, and I think we do it as well, because it's just kind of the way we are as business leaders and business minds, is we use our guts to make a lot of decision. And when it comes to your marketing, really the only opinion that matters are the facts, the results.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we talked a little bit about tracking earlier, Josh, and that's one of our other rules from last week. But ultimately, I think this one is difficult because of pride.
Yeah.
So I really do. I think as business owners and even as marketing directors, and we get in there and we're like, ooh, this is my idea. This is what I'm going to launch, and we're going to do really well. And if we're tracking it, and if the numbers don't come back to match up with our, guts, and then all of a sudden we're like, oh, we'll throw that out or right, whatever, because we want to bring value, and we don't want to be wrong, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it's so important to set aside egos and pride and look at numbers, and it's okay. What's awesome about that, if you are a marketing director out there and you brought an idea to your owner and you ran a particular promo and it bombed, hey, great, it bombed, let's move on. Like, that's the beauty of it, is taking these results and saying, this isn't going to work, it's not going to drive the numbers, it's not going to help us achieve the goals we're trying to achieve. And I guarantee you that business owner is going to have more respect for you to say, hey, I was wrong, but we tracked it, we did the right things, and now let's change and pivot and do something else.
Yeah, absolutely. And in marketing, what we think is going to work isn't always what works. And maybe what has worked somewhere else isn't always what works in this case or this scenario. Seasonalities and markets and all these different things, they change. So market strategies have to change. And it's not always a one-size-fits-all approach. And what you just said, I think, really matters. So if you're a business owner or business leader and you're a supervisor over the people that are responsible for your marketing, I think what Levi just said is really important. And one of the things that I really appreciate about you, Levi, is you've given me a lot of leeway over the last 3 years in the marketing for OpSpot to try things and test things, and it didn't always work. And you never throw it in my face and say, well, that sucks, Josh, you just wasted a whole bunch of money. It was really an investment to see, okay, here's what we don't do in the future.
100%.
And figuring out what works and what doesn't work. But at the end of the day, we come back and say, did this work? No. We looked at the results. We looked at the measurements, and we pivoted. We changed. We tried something different. But if you're a business owner and if your marketing team tries something and they fail, and you hold that over their head, what that ends up doing is stifling creativity.
Right.
They're going to be afraid to try something out of the box or try something different. That all it takes is one really great strategy to change the business trajectory. And so you don't want to stifle that with your team by throwing those times when they fail. If they're measuring and doing what they're supposed to do, appreciate that so that we can learn from what's working and what's not and begin to pivot.
Yeah, and Josh, what comes to my mind on this is the 80-20 rule, right? We've talked about this before, and I literally had this conversation with a client about an hour ago, and we were talking about all the different things that he has done. And he does a lot of things, which is great. He throws a lot of stuff against the wall, but he's a little slow to remove the things that aren't working. And so my advice to him was to say, listen, you really need to get the results. You need to look at the 20% that's creating 80% of your business, and you need to take the rest of the 80% that isn't producing the results you're wanting. Let's get rid of the 80 and take that 20 that's producing 80% of your revenue and your membership and double that and triple
Yeah.
that. So now that 20 becomes the new 80, right? And then you can do it again, and you continue to hone in and just get rid of the things that aren't working. And again, it's okay that it didn't work. Like, that is just life. So if it doesn't work, test. And I'm all about testing. Josh, this is the thing. We're big on free wash, right? We know that a free wash is going to bring people into the funnel. But the reality is if you're in a saturated market maybe, and you've done the free wash for a year, 2 years, or whatnot, and you're trying to do something new, we'll try something new. Let's do it. And it could be that it is. And we're not too proud to say, listen, let's try this. If this is what you want to do, let's try this and see if we can move the needle a little bit. And
Yeah.
it's all about testing, grabbing the results, and then making adjustments from there.
Well, and what's cool about some of the things that we've been able to do because of the websites that we built, we have the ability to easily A/B test using the same link and being able to send 50% of the people that click on this link to this form, 50% of the people that click on this link to this form. And so we've been able to test things like
Yep.
does asking for an email address, limit the amount of opt-ins that we're
Right.
going to get, or adding this information. And in some cases, the results were different than what we expected. And in some cases, they were what we expected. But being able to test that, you don't really know until you are able to test those things and get those results. And I think another thing that you just said, you're dropping the bombs today. The 80-20 rule. I think that most business leaders have no idea
Mm-hmm.
what the
Nope.
20% of the things are that are working. And I think it comes down to your products too. 20% of
Yeah.
your products are making all of your money, or 80% of your money. So you should probably look at what's in that 80% of what's not selling and say, are these distractions that could be increasing this 20% so that we could do more revenue? So you might have too many washes. If you've got 5 different options for washes, you need to look and see which ones of these are holding us back from really selling the 20% that's making us the money.
And it might be the most plain vanilla package that you're doing. And I think the problem sometimes with that, Josh, is we think it needs to be too fancy, it needs to be this and that and have
Yep.
the bells and whistles. And the reality is that's probably our own fault as entrepreneurs. And hey, I want something more flashy and more powerful and whatever. But when you really drill into it, I bet you that's this simple that actually is your successes. And I think that ultimately, focusing on those, it could be boring. Here's the deal. It's boring, right? Repeating those boring things is boring. But man, if it's driving your revenue and your sales and your memberships, keep doing it. Keep
Yeah.
telling the same story. Keep doing it. And that's why we haven't veered from free washes, because it works. And when you
Right.
get somebody into the funnel, we're going to keep beating this drum until it doesn't work. And when
Yeah.
it doesn't work, then we'll pivot and we'll do something else. But we know it
Well,
works.
we've had customers come to us and say, I just don't think the free wash is working. And we ask them, how do they know? And they can't really give us an answer
Right.
other than it's a gut feeling. Or one of their CSAs said, well, I think people are abusing it because I had 2 people come in today that got an extra free wash or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we go back and look at their results and we can show them based on the numbers, the facts, it is working.
Yeah.
But it goes back to that. And I've said this before when I was preaching. I could preach every every Sunday in front of 500 people. I could have most of the people in the room come up to me and say, man, that was an excellent message. Great job. And I have that one person come to me and disagree with something that I said, or didn't like, the way I said something or whatever. And that's the only thing that I'm thinking about. So the negative
Yes.
sticks out the most
Yep.
to us rather than the
Yep.
positive, and that affects the decisions that we make, and it makes us make bad decisions. So we need to go back to the numbers. We need to look at the numbers and see, okay, my CSA is telling me this, or maybe my gut is telling me this, but do the facts agree with that? Do the numbers agree with that? So look at the results and don't be afraid to test things. We love testing things. Marketing is all about testing. You figure out what works and what doesn't work, and the only way to do that is by testing things. And we love to test new things. We're always coming up with ideas to say, hey, maybe this will work, because we've seen it in another industry and want to see if it'll work in this industry. So results rule. Period. Don't make your marketing decisions based on your gut. Even if you have the most trustworthy gut in the world, if so, the numbers are going to back that up. But
absolutely.
even the best business leaders in the world still need to know what are the facts, what are the numbers.
And the best business leaders in the world, they pivot and they make adjustments and they make changes. And if you don't, you'll get left behind.
Absolutely. All right, so car wash marketing rule number 9 is results rule, period. Tomorrow we are doing the last one, car wash marketing rule number 10. It's going to wrap all of these things up, and we hope you guys have enjoyed this mini series. It's a little something different. This is a test. We're seeing how people respond to this, and people have gotten emails from me every single day for the last 7-8 days, and some people have unsubscribed because of it. So now I got to go back and look and see, is it worth it?
Is it worth it?
Yeah. So this is a test.
That is a test.
All right.
It's the first time we've done this mini series. So we'll, like you said, we're testing. And if we have 80% of the people opt out, we know we need to not do a mini series.
Right. But if it's 20% of the people that will never engage with us anyway, then it actually might have been worth it.
Yeah. Perfect. Exactly.
All right.
All right. Cool.
Thanks, Levi. I'll see you tomorrow for car wash marketing rule number 10.
Number 10. See ya.